Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
So I like them. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Money Radio Show. Today, another beautiful Tuesday afternoon from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Dadu, reporting for duty today. Of course, is the agro business segment of the Money Radio Show. And of course, today we will be talking about a whole lot. And of course, I'm not alone in the studio today. Dr. Habib is here with us from the Jubaili family. Dr. Habib, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's good to have you this brand new year.
Thank you very much.
Since last year, I'm not sure we've seen. Yeah, we've only been talking about chicken and animals on phone.
Exactly.
And that's so interesting. So, of course, we'll go straight up. Our topic today is centered on the current disease outbreak in the poultry industry. Dr. Habib, what is responsible for this death of chicken, turkey, left, right, and center? I mean, I've been inundated with a lot of calls because of my other segments of business that I run. People calling me, they need a cold room, they need a space to stock chicken, the chickens are dying, what can they do? And it was just done on me sometime last week that, hey, we're having a full-blown outbreak. The federal government announced that there's an outbreak of bird flu. But surprisingly, most of the farmers are in denial. They don't want to accept that there's a bird flu. Some are calling it Newcastle. What are we dealing with at this time?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I won't blame the farmers for denying the outbreak. You know, scientifically, for you to say there's an outbreak, there must be a laboratory confirmation that, okay, actually this thing exists.
Okay.
Government made us to realize that there's an outbreak, but are there measures in place probably to prevent the spreading of this? You know, you can't just come and say, okay, there's an outbreak. What have you put in place to prevent maybe probably spreading to farms that have not gotten the infections? The farms that have gotten infection, how can you localize that you prevent the spread to another farm? Do you try to enlighten the farmers that these are things to do? You know, and the way this thing happened, it's happened towards the festive period, whereby
just after the Christmas, it started from Christmas week, and then it entered into the New Year.
The New Year, yeah. And you know, a lot of farmers have stock in both the seasonal farmers and the regular farmers.
Yes.
You know, we have them in two. We have seasonal and regular.
Yes.
And a lot of, you know, and when you're talking about the spreading of disease, you know, a lot of factors come into play. And you know, because I want to make money for Christmas, I want to make money for New Year. Everybody, in fact, things that we're supposed to put into consideration, we don't do that. We talk about biosecurity, which is very, very important in preventing the
disease
on
the
prevention and control of your farm. You understand? But what is in the mind of every farmer is, I want to stock, I want to make money, I don't want this season to go by me without making this money. Whereas the primary thing we're supposed to do
is how healthy and safe is that stocking process.
In fact, you know, for you to stock beds, there are processes you undergo. You clean up your environment. You disinfect.
You let it ensure rest for a while.
For a while before you stock in, and you know where are you sourcing the bed from. In fact, people don't even care when the price gone up. When the price gone up, people are like, they don't even care the source of the bed.
I am one of them because sincerely, buying a day-old chicks for as high as 900 naira is not funny. Exactly. And I've had reason to call some of the owners or some of the major managers of some of those hatchery, and I had to call them. What is responsible for this increase? Because for me personally, I don't think that diesel should just be a conversation around it. Diesel, yes, is one of the factors that should influence price. And then even if you merge both diesel and the dollar rate, it should not be the reason why we should be buying the old chicks for crying out loud for 900 naira. Dr. Habib, talk to your colleagues in the industry. We need
you know, these
farmers are really. I mean, we're going through a lot in that regard.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, So
you will not blame us if we decide to buy chicken from anywhere.
I will still blame you, even if you are going to buy. You should know where you are getting it from.
Okay. I know most farmers are in agreement with you. They will be on my side.
Yes, I understand the farmers' plight. You understand, and it requires a lot of change. It's a chain of control. You're saying it's not only the diesel that play a major role or directly into the cost of. There are a lot of things. cost of raw materials. You understand? Having you can't just say you want to open an hatchery now. There are a lot of things. Okay, now the parents stock, they will feed them. You understand? But medicate them, give them a lot of things. You understand? But so it's not only the diesel that play a major role in the cost, making the cost of the beds or DOC to be high at that time. You know, and you know the way Nigeria, let me use the word Nigerian do. You know, when they are moving to a festive period, price of everything tend to go higher. Even originally, which is very unfair.
Even Merua will tell you that it's money.
Thank you. When you ask now, if you have to take a transportation from one place to another, so why is the price like this? I know, don't you know that we're in festive period? So why? Because we're in festive period. This is a period that you share love, you share, you try to be good to others. You celebrate. That's when you try to bring hardship on somebody else. Again, it is not supposed to be done like that. So for us not to digress too much. So when you're talking about a disease outbreak, farmers should know that it's not only bringing birds, rearing them and selling them out is called farming. There are things that you have to take good into consideration, the health of individuals who are going to consume these birds. In fact, you see a place that isn't supposed to contain more than 50 beds, you see 200 beds jam-packed. Overcrowding can lead to the spreading of disease. You understand? But even if you have tried to prevent it and you come and stop them, overcrowd them, you didn't feed them properly, no proper medication. Even some farmers will tell you that and doctor, I'm seeing my birds are manifesting signs of a Newcastle, and I give them vaccine. Please,
can you vaccinate in the middle of infection for a Newcastle?
I will admit this. We veterinarians, we still have a lot of work to do. We need to enlighten the farmers. You know, just because your birds, you are seeing the signs. The next thing is vaccination. You don't vaccinate sick birds. You are furthering.
At least you guys talk. Jubali taught us that during some of the trainings. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So you don't vaccinate sick birds. You allow your birds to be healthy. If your birds are showing signs, consult your veterinarians in your area
for proper management.
There was a farmer that said that he has a farm for 8 bucks, whereby any small things like this, antibiotics, any small thing like this. In fact, that farmers combine up to 3-4 drugs. The birds are not well. They are not okay. Their immune system is down. You are still bombarding their liver, everything. Before you know. And in fact, and now the way the management of farms are now, people they are not looking at the aspect of the management of the farm again.
It's the profit side.
The profit that they are looking at
are concerned about.
And if your birds are proper, I can assure you this: if your farms is properly managed, you spend less on drugs. On vaccination is something constant. You have to prevent, but you spend less on medications. Any small thing, you not even. In fact, as I'm talking to you now, before I leave the office, a farmer came and was complaining that he has used a drug of higher strength to manage a respiratory problem. Believe you me, do you know that this, as harsh as this cold weather is, this farmer doesn't have a tarpaulin that covers the open. So he's
loading them with a lot of.
You are complaining of a respiratory problem. You are treating them with high cost. Now tell me, how will we do maximize profits? You are treating them, you are exposing them again. So these all things center around management. If he had not exposed them to harsh weather, they wouldn't have come down with the respiratory problem.
So as it is, Dr. Habib, what are we dealing with currently in Nigeria? Is it Newcastle, another strain of Newcastle? Because the story coming out of places like Babalada, like the side, Kaduna axis, Jere sides of town, even Buhari, and as a whole, in the whole of FCT, that we've received quite a lot of reports, and other neighboring states, the entire loss is quite huge. What are we dealing with? Is this the same Newcastle? Is it the bird flu that they are talking about, or is it something bigger that we are yet to discover?
You see, what's in Nigeria, we should have it at the back of our mind that you see the bird flu, the Newcastle, Gomboro, all these diseases are endemic in Nigeria. But there are factors that.
So when you mean endemic, they live with us.
They are here with us.
Okay.
So it depends on how we manage them. Some will say, okay, some of these diseases that are vaccinable. Instead of farmers to go to a reliable source, get this vaccine, get it prevented once and for all. It is then you go to a place that the vaccine is not properly stored. Even if the vaccine is properly stored, it's not properly used by the farmers. It's not properly transported. So these diseases they are with us, they are living with us. But our management determines whether they are going to it spread to other neighboring states or neighboring farms. So if you properly manage an area, if you properly manage them very well, then you can now have this disease outbreak limited. Then once it's limited, it can be controlled by any agencies involved. So some of these diseases, be it Newcastle, be it bird flu, be it Gomboro, they are here with us. And I'm not sorry to say that they are here to stay, because we've not really eradicate them. There's the difference between you control something and if you eradicate, which means you are taking it out completely. But we've not completely eradicated it. We are just managing them. So as we are managing them, let it be top notch. We should not be breaching the management protocol
for most of those beds.
Exactly.
So in general, because vaccine handling is another thing entirely. Managing the farm is another thing entirely. For farmers who are already in the midst of the crisis, what is left? What can they do how can they identify? How can they tell if it's a bird flu? Okay. How can they identify if it's a Newcastle? Okay. Because some don't know. All they know is that their birds are dying. Okay. So can you just help us with that? Is there any sign that who you know? Because from the last time we checked, the new bird flu can manifest in any way. It can lead to a large mortality, which is also a common thing with Newcastle. And sometimes it can come in disguise of a Newcastle, but it could actually be bird flu. And sometimes it can come that way. It can be a Newcastle. It can be Newcastle, and people will assume that it's actually bird flu. How can we identify how dangerous a disease is, or what should be the signal for us to know that this is a danger that we need to wake up?
Okay, thank you very much for that. You see, there's this popular saying that prevention is always better than cure. It is always good. Some of these, thank God that some of these diseases are vaccinable. And at the same time, these diseases, they have a behavioral pattern. The way Newcastle behave is quite different from the way Gomboro manifests. It's quite different from the way bird flu manifests. So it takes professional to identify. But there are things that as a farmer that you should look out to. If you are sure that at least you've done your best, you've given them the vaccine, proper vaccination. There's no vaccination. If you vaccinate, you may not vaccinate properly. You've done a proper vaccination. Then you've now started seeing some cases your birds are down, they are dying. Let's take for instance the Gomboro now. Gomboro now, between 7 days, any mortality you want to cause is within that 7 days. You understand? You see some people, they say they are having the mortality for the past 2 weeks now. That's not Gomboro anymore. And some of this, viral disease.
So does it mean from 7 days Gomboro becomes inactive?
It's not. It's still active, but the morbidity and the mortality
has dropped
very. With anything that is going to cause is within that
7 days of the life of that bird
of that bird. Yes.
Okay.
And it can cause up to 100% morbidity, and you can have up to 70% mortality. That's for Gomboro. And there are signs you'll be seeing. And for when you talk about Newcastle also, it has its own behavioral pattern. So it takes professional. So I will urge the farmers
to consult. And that brings us up to the issue of, I hope that this is 2023.
Yes.
You guys are still doing the free thing, consultation thing. They can call you for assistance without paying money.
We are
for assistance because it's important.
Thank you very much. We are Jubilee Agrotech or Jubilee Animal Health. We are readily available. In fact, as I'm talking to you now,
because a lot of people need help. That's the truth.
In fact, as I'm talking to you now, only in Abuja office now we have over 6 veterinary doctors. Their numbers are already attending to yes, farmers. They are on station attending to farmers, taking their complaints. As I'm talking to you now, 3 have gone out now. A farmer just 2 or 3 farmers that came in Okay, you go there, you go there. You go and not only listening to their complaint, they
But
go
you
to
go
the
and
farm
observe and review,
observe.
practice,
The,
and
just
see
the
the best.
example I just gave you now, that a farmer is giving high cost of medication, and you're exposing them. It was on visitation
That
he
they
discovered
notice.
that no, there's not even any trampoline, and it's just only 2 blocks. So the whole place is net over 500 beds,
It's open,
and it's very open. It's around this.
and I'm sure there are trees around the area.
In fact, the place is very
Very
open.
cold.
In fact, like, because he came with the pictures, I was like, you are treating them, you are exposing them again. So there's a free consultation, free visitation. You understand? Then we recommend appropriately. You know, there are some now farmers. Some of these viral diseases, they don't just occur. They
It
give
takes
room.
time
They give room for other diseases to come
to
up
come
again.
in and breathe into the farm.
So it will now be mixed. The farmers will now be confused. My beds are having this color of shit, having mixed color,
Green,
3 different
white,
colors.
pink.
The farmer will be confused. Before you know, you go and start buying gargaja. This one will take care of it. A farmer told me this morning, as I'm talking to you, because I have a lot of cases this morning. The farmer bought ginger, garlic, and all the.
Those are some of the things they see on, but sometimes they don't know that you may not be able to balance the measurement, and then sometimes these things don't work in reality.
To my surprise, this farmer was giving an example that even human being, if you are feeling cold,
you can
take
use ginger.
I said, okay, I now understand where.
I bet you he watched it on YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of content that
non-conventional content.
Yes, that could be misleading sometimes. For some, it may work; they may get away with it. But in cases where we are having a major outbreak, I think it's not time for farmers to want to try things like that.
Yes,
you can try that with other things. Maybe when there is everywhere is calm. But of course, professionally, you should do the right thing because it's another form of investment, and it's important that. We do. So, in your concluding remarks, Dr. Habib, what do you advise farmers to do in this season?
Okay, I will advise farmers, please and please. There are a lot of outlets there. A good one, a typical one is Eleco. You understand? They have a lot of veterinarians. There are other outlets there too. Whichever are there, they are providing support. They shouldn't embark on self-medication. Anything they are going to do, they should try to consult. So that they can guide the appropriate. I also urge the various agencies outside there that are responsible for the outbreak. So they should ensure that proper information is disseminated and more enlightenment are made to farmers so that they will know what to do at the right time. The best thing to do at the right time.
Of course, so I mean, it's the agribusiness segment of the morning radio show today. Of course, like you're aware, it's also a veterans this week in Nigeria. We've been celebrating people who have been supporting us and making sure that farmers are up and doing their business. Soldiers, everybody within the veterans community. A lot of ceremony took place. And of course, as we wrap up the show, we'll also be leaving you with a video of, we'll also be playing a segment of a video where the minister had a conversation during one of those celebrations. And of course, because it's an agric event, we had to just talk about agric in between any events that we are. So, of course, I listen to the
current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has put more money, more time, more energy, more resources in agric than any other previous administration in the recent past. And I am a witness because since the president moved me to agriculture, he has given intervention over intervention to make sure the agri sector is performing very well robustly, to make sure there is food security and nutrition security in the country, and to also make sure that we invite women and youth into agriculture. When Mr. President came to power, I think in our grain reserve, we have something like either 30,000 metric tons of food or even less. But he built it up to over 100 and something metric thousand tons. So during the COVID, the president ordered the release of 70,000 metric tons. Now you can imagine if the grain reserve was still at that level of about 30,000 or less, what would have happened? Chaos. So we have built that. More people have gone into farming during this administration. Farmers have become richer than they have been before. We have enticed more women and youth into farming. Nigeria is today number one producer of rice in Africa, number one producer of yam in the world, number one producer of cassava in the world, number two, I think, in maize production. So this administration has done so much in the agri sector.
So of course that's the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, who we had the opportunity, the privilege of having a brief interview with him during the celebration here in Abuja in Soko, the Polo Guards Brigade, talking about different things. And of course, we use this moment to also highlight some of the achievement of the administration. He talked about rice production being at the top and other things. While we end this show, of course, the ministry is doing quite a whole lot in their own capacity. What would you say briefly about Mr. Minister's commentary?
To be candid, thank to the Minister of Agriculture for giving us this information. He's not just giving us the information are actually true. You understand, the Ministry of Agriculture have made a huge impact as far as this economy is concerned to ease the life of people. You understand, and it's not just just like people will say that this is not politics. They actually done that, and you have a couple of people that testify to that. All the things that were released, they actually got to people, and people actually benefited from it. So thanks to the Minister of Agriculture and to the Minister and to the federal government at large.
So I mean, I know that it's a political season, so people have different opinion and they want to say a whole lot. But personally, I mean, Nigeria is a very huge country, and you must agree to an extent. In my own personal opinion, I believe that they've done a lot of input. They've put in so much into the administration. I'm one of those who praise the administration for increasing the budget and the supplementary budget into Outbreak even the last time, some weeks back. So, of course, we hope that as we go journey through, we'll also get to know some of the activities of both the ministry and then even people who are coming in to also take over from Mr. President, also increase their capacity, their involvement, and also pay more attention to the agri segment. And of course, this is where we draw a curtain to the show. And of course, just like Dr. Habib mentioned earlier, it is important that farmers put in the right practice at this time when we're having this crisis. Beyond anything you think you are doing on your farm, this is not the time to experiment what has not worked. Yes. This is the time to follow the professional advice, follow conventional. You're trying to say something, to follow the conventional, not non-conventional. Yes, it's not the time to mix, to soak good and ginger in the water, or to pour what do you call it, engine oil on the farm, or anything funny. Just follow what the vet doctors are saying, follow the professional advice, do the right thing on the farm, and make sure that your chicken, your herds, your birds are doing well. Because really, if you look at the loss, I have a farmer who lost over 170 something turkey. And you know how much a day-old chicks of a turkey is? Exactly. Is huge. So of course, so here is where we draw the curtain on the agribusiness segment of the Morning Radio. Join us again, same time, same session. And of course, for those of you joining us on the other channel, of course, let's keep it a date as we engage you in the subsequent edition of the agro segments of business. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.